Hello and welcome to Vintage Horror Movies, where we provide commentary, analysis, and criticism of older horror movies. This time we're talking about a French film from 1896. I'm going to mess up the title. Le Manoir du Diable. Um, I think that translates to The Mansion of the Devil, The House of the Devil by George Méliès. This is a silent film and is only 3 minutes long. It is considered the first horror movie ever created. Just to give you some background, the earliest silent movie was made in 1888. The first commercial film was from 1895 by the Lumiere brothers, so this movie is not far behind. Now, this is technically considered the first horror movie and possibly the first vampire movie. I say technically because, as I said, it's only 3 minutes long. The first full-length horror movie is considered to be The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari from 1920. Now, this film by Méliès was released in the US as The Haunted Castle and in the UK as The Devil's Castle. So I'll just call it The Haunted Castle going forward. This film was thought to have been lost, but the only known copy of it was bought in a junk shop between the 1930s and 1940s in New Zealand, and it was not recognized for what it was until around 1988. Méliès, besides being a filmmaker, was also a talented magician, illusionist, and toy maker, so he was definitely a Renaissance man. He was a pioneer of cutting-edge film techniques such as time-lapse photography, dissolves, multiple exposures, and substitution splices. He manages to cram a lot into just 3 minutes of film. Most early films just depicted people going about their daily life, so this is one of the earliest examples where a story was told. Despite its age, this movie has all the things we currently regard as horror cliches, including bats transforming into someone else, the devil, which here is technically not the devil with a capital D, but I think Mephistopheles, if I'm saying that correctly, from German folklore. So he was supposed to be a lesser devil and appears in the story Faust. We also have him being chased away with someone carrying a wooden cross, skeleton, ghosts, witches, complete with broomsticks, and a creepy castle. While there are spooky elements, this film also has comedy in it, and it was not designed to be scary. The devil and his consorts are doing their best to shake up two interlopers, their cavaliers, from their castle. So a good example is a guy tries to sit down in a chair only to find a skeleton appear there where he was about to sit. So let me give you an example of what that looks like. Now, I know these are hard to see and grainy, but like I said, the film is over 125 years old. Regarding the silent aspect of the film, it was common in these times for live music to be played to accompany the movie in a theater. Actors in that day were not given credit for their roles and instead were anonymous. So here's an example of a guy. We don't know who this is. We think it's probably one of Méliès's magician friends that he performed with. Notice he's rocking a cape and a funny hat and some tights. One person was identified from this film, and it's Jeanne D'Alcy, Jehanne D'Alcoi. She was a successful theater actress at the time, and she later went on to marry Méliès. Now back to the original picture we have. If you look closely, a white star appears here in the background, lower background of a wall. And that is because it was common in those days to add the company's logo into a picture as a early measure for anti-piracy. So the name of Méliès's company was Star Film Company. So that's what that is. Méliès did a remake 1 year later called the Chateau Hante, Hante. It is often confused with the first film due to the original title, and it's only 45 seconds long. I have a picture of that. So very, very short, but the reason I wanted to show it is that it was the first of his works to be hand colored at a coloring lab that was owned by Elizabeth Thuller, and they later collaborated on coloring many of his other films. So you can see that the color, this is a much clearer picture than the earlier ones, but the color definitely helps the characters stand out. So only 45 seconds long. Méliès is also responsible for the influential A Trip to the Moon from 1902. It's also short, 12 minutes long, and you'll probably remember the movie for the scene where a rocket lands in the eye of the man in the moon. So here he is. So that's a pretty popular picture. Pretty cool for the early 1900s. This is one of cinema's most venerated titles. It was even named one of the top 100 greatest films of the 20th century by the Village Voice. Méliès also did The Impossible Voyage from 1904. That's 20 minutes long, and that includes some colorization as well. Only 200 out of an estimated 500 films created by Méliès have survived. During World War I, the French army confiscated his studio and took some 400 original prints and melted them down to recover silver and celluloid, the latter of which that was used to make shoe heels for the soldiers' uniforms. Also in the early 1920s, Méliès was bankrupt and lost control of his studio. He was so distraught he burnt many of the film's negatives as well as costumes and sets owned by the company. Luckily, some copies of those films survived, but it's just a shame we don't have all of his work. In later life, Méliès, his work began to be discovered again. His importance as a filmmaker was recognized, and he began to mentor students in the art of filmmaking, even though he did not make any other films himself. Besides his other achievements, he's also credited for the first known storyboard, which is a tool that is still in use today. Where to find these movies? Internet Archive and YouTube. And should you watch these movies? I would say that's a definite yes. They're very short. It's not going to take much time. Yes, the films are grainy, but you have to look past that. It's great to see how creative and inventive artists were some 125 years ago. So that's all I have on Méliès and his films. If you watch them, I'd be interested to hear what you think, so please let me know in the comments. And until next time, take care. Bye.